The House Education Committee is holding another hearing right now to address anti-Semitism on college campuses. University leaders from Northwestern, Rutgers, and UCLA will testify as the committee's main witnesses. They join the presidents of Harvard, Penn, MIT, and Columbia amid a month-long probe. ABC's Jay O'Brien joins me now from Capitol Hill, just outside that hearing. Jay, this is the committee's third hearing since the start of the war in Gaza. So what can we expect from today's testimony?
Well, as you said, that hearing is ongoing. We are standing in the hallway outside of it. I just want to start with what we're seeing here now. So there was a line of demonstrators all the way down this hallway, snaking around the corner here, who lined up to try to get into the hearing. There were faculty with Rutgers University who have words called like solidarity on their shirts. There were other demonstrators here who had the word genocide scrawled across their shirts. Inside the hearing room, we've already heard from one of the university presidents, the president of Northwestern, who said he condemned anti-Semitism, but also went on to say that students have a right to protest. He said he is a child of Holocaust survivors, a relative of Holocaust survivors, and that this issue does have an impact with him. Here's what you can expect, Diane. At Rutgers and Northwestern University, the schools negotiated with the demonstrators on their campuses and came to terms with those demonstrators. We've already heard from the top Republican on this committee, Virginia Fox, who condemned that move. So expect pointed questions from Fox about that. And then the last school here, UCLA, notably, as you'll recall, after letting that encampment go on for days, the school called in police and demonstrators clashed as authorities tried to remove that encampment. So demonstrators, or Democrats rather, on the committee are likely to ask about that, whereas Republicans on the committee have already condemned UCLA for letting that encampment go on for as long as it did before calling in the authorities.
Now, Jay, so far these hearings have resulted in investigations of each school and the ousting of 2 university presidents who testified. So what are you watching for today?
Well, another thing to watch for, Diane, is that there will be lawmakers on this committee who ask broader questions of these university officials, like they did, remember, the presidents of Harvard, for instance, et cetera. They'll ask questions about genocide and whether or not they believe that is being appropriately used by demonstrators, or various aspects of their personal views and the university's views on the rhetoric that these demonstrators are using. That is something that we've already heard Republicans express that they want to do again. Linsey Davis, who had perhaps the most pointed questionings in the first iteration of this hearing when the president of Harvard and UPenn, et cetera, testified before this committee, has already told our colleagues at ABC News that she is excited for this hearing as well and is going to ask some questions along that front about the rhetoric that these demonstrators are using.
And Jay, what's the end goal of these hearings?
Well, that's the open question, Diane. We already know that House Republicans have passed a bill that changes the definition of anti-Semitism in U.S. law as a means of trying to give, they say, the Department of Education more teeth when it pursues instances of what they allege to be anti-Semitism on these college campuses. That bill has already passed the House. It's an open question of its future in the Senate. And beyond that, there's limited things as what the committee can do. They don't have a direct control over how universities handle these kinds of demonstrations, short of passing legislation that could take aim at their funding, which they already did with that anti-Semitism bill. So part of what they can do, they are already doing by hauling the presidents of these universities before this committee and trying to, as some committee members have told us, use them as an example and a message to other universities that there could be consequences in front of Congress depending upon how you handle these demonstrations.
All right, Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill, thank you.